Hello and welcome back. Today I have again car electronics, and this time it is the Nitro OBD2. And I have been playing with OBD2 for a while, like 20 years, and I've had all kinds of different ones. And that's why I was a little bit surprised and mostly skeptical, to be honest. This is the yellow version, it's for petrol, and it should gain you, it says here 35 more power and 25 more torque. And of course, I'm very skeptical. I bought the 2019 and the 2020 version. Well, if you can see the difference, I cannot, so maybe the guys may do the same. But I did get them out of the package, and one has an extra hole. I really don't know which is which. I bought it from the same seller, maybe I should have not. But the difference should be that one has one board inside and the other one has two boards. And they say two boards is better because more is better, probably. And if you look, one has a hole in the connector. So maybe that is how we can distinguish them. But I'm going to open them. They say that the electronics in this will adapt to your driving style. And then later you save petrol. You will drive more economically. Yeah, I think that is probably the ACU itself, and the only thing that this thing can do, if it's even able to, is maybe tell the car, oh, we have more air, and then the ECU in the car thinks, oh yeah, let's put more petrol, or something else they can do is, the petrol pressure is a little bit lower, and then the car will put more pressure, and then you also get more gasoline. A little bit more gasoline means a little bit more torque, and then automatically you get a smoother drive. And when you drive smooth, if you have automatic drive or manual drive, it doesn't matter too much. If you have a little bit more torque, you just drive in a lower gear. And if you have automatic drive, maybe you don't use the kick down that much. So a little bit more torque automatically makes you drive more economical. So that can work in that theory. And but I'm also skeptical because, and I will show you the history of OBD2. I have several models. I remember from the past that writing back to the computer was a little bit difficult, and you needed all kinds of special adapters because the car manufacturers are not that keen that you start writing back information into the ECU. So usually that is protected. So I wondered how they do this, and also it is universal, so for any car. So yeah, I don't know, but we're gonna open them and see what is inside. And it takes 150 miles or 300 kilometers to see the result. And that is just as long it took as my piggyback chip tuning. So probably it is the ECU itself that adjusts, and I don't know what this thing does. And I will show you why I'm skeptical. So here we have one of the first modules. It's a build yourself. This one is from scantool.net. It's the ELM version. And now most of the OBDs are multi-protocol, but then you need it for each protocol a different chip. And this is the ELM 320, and the 320 is for PWM, and that was used by Ford America. And so this one, oh, oops. This one is for the ISO protocol. It's for European cars and Asian cars. So you can use this on the Hyundai, Kia, etc. And this is the ELM 323, and that is specifically made for ISO format. And you can see this was really an home build. So this is really the start. I think it got standardized around 96. And after that, you had all these still these single protocols. And I remember mostly cables because this one goes into the car. This is the plug we all know. And then that goes in here. Then the module communicates to the serial. So you put your serial connector. But then Well, then of course your laptop had these connectors, but now not anymore. So then you need to have another adapter, and then you have this. So all of this you need. We all know, if you saw my review about the Advancer 8010, now it is a lot simpler. But it is nice to know the start. But these things, and that's why I'm a little bit skeptical, these things could only read. So with very little electronics, you can only read. And you could reset the engine light. If you have a malfunction, you have that little engine light, you can reset that. And you could do nothing with the airbag computer. That was only the main ECU. And well, here we have some more home build. This is also the 3234 ISO. And then you add. Yeah, and here we have the BR3 interface. It's a multi-protocol. It is the VPW, which is for General Motors, the Ford, and the ISO European Nation. And this one was from OBDII.com. And there was also, I think these are around 15 years old maybe, because it's already multi-protocol. And then you had also this one. And this one, I think, was based on another chip, and it's the BR16F84, and that is also multi-protocol. And you see already a lot of it is integrated, and you just have your serial port here. There is no other adapter needed. So they already became a little bit smaller. And this is another very famous multi-protocol, and that is called OBDII. And yeah, this one also worked very nice, and it already has immediately a serial USB connector, so that really saves you a lot of trouble. And then you think maybe, oh, you didn't mention Volkswagen. Yes, well, they had a different protocol again, the VAG, and here we have this one for Volkswagen, also immediately with USB and the famous plug, but some cars had a different connector, and then you needed another cable, and that is this one. So cables. And nowadays you have your adapters just on Bluetooth or with Wi-Fi, all multi-protocol, and so that improved a lot. But what made me skeptical, these things all don't program. So if you want to program, you need something else. And this you need for programming, but this is about 10 years old, I think, if maybe a little bit more. And for everything, you needed to have a disk. I have here, this is manuals, this is for the blue adapter, this is for the OBDII. This is all kinds of ECU remappings. But the thing was, with this thing, you could not read first from the ECU, then change your maps and write back the ECU. You could only write back because I didn't have a remap editor. And that made it very dangerous because, of course, you can just break it like you can break your phone. Now, if you, and doing this with your ECU is a very expensive hobby, so to say, because, well, it's probably €1,000, if not more. And this is my programmer. It's the KWP2000, that's this one. And it can do ISO, and I just have a bunch of remap files. They were all available. And yeah, this is just the Digimoto program with all kinds of this dashboards, software, and you needed tons of them. So that's why I'm skeptical. And I will also show you a modern version of the 2000 that I bought last year. And this is the modern version. And this one should be able, but I never tried. And I was too scared also to do so. This is also multi-protocol Bluetooth. It's from WOW, and it's called a Snooper. And you can do stuff with USB, and you can do stuff Bluetooth, and I think you can even reprogram it, get firmware updates, so it's kind of modern. But you see, it's kind of a big thing, and there's a software, what does it say? Vehicle intelligence, English and French language. This year also probably there is a newer version already, and maybe I already need to find new firmware. But I was still too scared to actually program in my car. But maybe this one can do remapping. But as you can see, it is not as simple as a $3 device, and that's why I was skeptical. And if you think the snooper is that useful for any other cars, are you sure it's multi protocol? Yes, I think it is. Look, we have here a connector. I don't even know what car it is, but you can just adopt it. This we have seen before. This is the Volkswagen. This one is the Volkswagen. And this is, I think, the BMW. This, I don't know. This is another round plug. Maybe some General Motors. Some need extra power. Then you can get it from the battery. This, I really have no clue. Same for this one. So yes, it's also multi-protocol. Okay, back to the Nitro. Yeah, this is the yellow version that will give you more power and more torque. There is four petrol engines. There is also a green one that would make your car more economic. And I think you also have the blue for diesel and the red for diesel and the red for power and the blue for economic. I have a petrol engine, benzine, so I will try that. Yes, I will show you the ad where it says you have the one board and the two board version. So let's see which of the two is the better of them. Although they look exactly the same. As I mentioned before, one has an extra hole in it. There. And the color is slightly different, and this one looks slightly better. But also, look, if you look at the text and the holes for the reset button, it is different. And I think the one with the one board, the PCB was turned upside down than the other board. So we could indeed have two versions. And here you can see it is a little bump, and here it seems to be a big bump. So yeah, now I really want to open them. Okay, let's try that. I have my tool again. I can put a link in the bottom because I think it's really ideal. Look at this, how easy that goes. So this is clearly the one PCB board. And this one I want to take apart just to see what electronics are on it. And this one I will keep in one part. And then see, now we can really drive with that one. Yes, indeed, this is the two. I would have expected it was the other way around because this yellow actually looks a little bit nicer than this one. And as you can see, there is a lot more electronics on it. It could all be for show. And yeah, it indeed looks different. Maybe get the microscope and see what kind of chip they have. Okay, under the microscope it's the V1 as we can see. And well, if you look at the components, it's an LED, some resistors, how the pins are connected, but I don't think these two go anywhere. And this seems to be like a 3.3 volt regulator. Oh, why is it so dark? Yeah, there it goes. And the main, they took it off. There is no No, it is completely black. So there is not too much on this. And where does it go to? Does it even go to pins? No, it just goes to the LEDs. Yeah, here we have two outputs, here, to the chip. So we have one LED, two LEDs, probably power, and the other pins are all connected. And there is a reset button. Okay. I think this is, here also go two pins on the outside. One LED, and 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the chip controls a few LEDs. Yeah, this is fake, I think. Yeah, okay. The one chip for $2, that is crap. It only controls the LEDs. I don't think it can do a lot more. This one could actually, this is a 5-volt regulator, also a few LEDs. It actually has a big chip. So yeah, indeed I can program stuff in it. Not too many pins are connected, to be honest. And it goes to the bottom board to go to some of the pins. So maybe this one could work. But then we really need to see. Maybe we can find out the pin out, what pins they actually use, but then you still don't know what program is in it. Yeah, this is all floating or grounded, so all these pins do nothing. So maybe here they make it look interesting and just blinking the LEDs also. I don't trust them for a second. Okay, I've been reading a bit on the internet about this PIC chip, and I even come across another guy on YouTube also reviewing it, and he really had a closer look with the oscilloscope. And it turns out it can only have 3K. So I will put a link of another company that already reverse engineered it. And 3K is not enough to put maps for a car. Then there is a theory about fuel trim. You have, if the car changes, it wears, then, yeah, an older car usually wants more petrol just to smooth the things because you get more space everywhere. And so the computer thinks about that. But it depends on so you have a short-term trim and a long-term trim. And you can influence the short-term trim. So by resetting that or by trying to influence that, that's why you need the 200 miles, I think. Because if you influence that enough by telling the computer it needs a little bit more, then after 200 miles, the ECU is actually going to do that because then the long-term trim comes into play. And as I explained in the beginning, if you put a little bit more petrol, you will increase a little bit the torque. And especially with new cars, because they try to adjust them as poor as possible. Well, I mean, not rich. How you say that? Lean, I think, as lean as possible, and to not use too much fuel. But it doesn't mean that necessarily that's the best driver's experience. So with these little chips, you can probably influence that, but that is not this chip. Because also, if you look at what there was another review, and I will link also to that because I can do exactly the same, but that is pointless because that was really a proper review. And he says all the data pins are connected with 10K So with 10K, you cannot pull something up or down. That is just too high. You can just keep it high, but you can never pull it low. So it is not going to do anything. The only thing it does is feel the pins, and then it will make the LEDs blink. And then it looks like it's communicating. And yeah, there is also, I don't see any other communication chip that can do ISO or all the other protocols that you need on the OBD2. So it is a nice light show. Well, I was already a little bit skeptical in the beginning because of all my other OBD stuff I have and what kind of communication chips you need for that, and they were not in it here. And especially the first model, the 2019, was only a LED flasher, and that was very clear because it had one IC with 8 pins, 2 for the power, and 3 for the LEDs. So it can really not do much more than blinking the LED. And the other looked a lot more impressive. They really did a good job making it look good. But it just feels the pin. They are almost floating with that 10K. So of course they will start to do things, and it looks like it is communicating. But also there was no communication chip of any of the protocols. So I would be very, very, very surprised if this works. And also still, I'm not convinced you can actually program something back in this plug, because to influence the readings of the sensors, you need to be in the, I forgot the name, but it's a kind of a serial protocol that goes through all the sensors, and you can influence that. So I have in my car a piggyback. They put somewhere in between in the circuit, and then they probably fake the oxygen, and then they give a little bit more petrol, or with this fuel trim system, and then in any heat it works. It works. I'm not sure 35%, but it does have a smoother drive, so that really works. But it needs a lot more electronics to do so, and so I say no. Waste of money, but it's not that expensive. So for this $2 or $3, you really have a nice light show. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.